A U.S. Navy pilot flying off the coast of California suddenly receives an unusual message from radar controllers.
We actually have military pilots who are saying, I saw something that I don't understand.
Course unknown and speed unknown.
We don't know what they actually saw. We only have their interpretation of it.
So this is the helmet that I was wearing.
It would be really irresponsible to suggest that all of these things are of the same origin, that they're of the same technology, that they're of the same phenomenon.
We can't say it's aliens, but we can't say it's not aliens.
People in New Jersey are concerned.
And what about the explosion of news reports of strange objects flying over New Jersey?
Upwards of 49 plus drone sightings.
As scientists, we also want to get to the bottom of this.
For days, unknown objects had been appearing high above the Pacific, dropping from nearly 80,000 feet to just above the ocean before disappearing again. When the pilot arrived at the location, he spotted something strange below. A small white craft moving erratically over the water like a ping-pong ball. It had no wings, no rotors, and no visible propulsion. The pilot was David Fravor.
People are interested in this topic of UFOs, and Congress has begun to get involved. There's been a couple of congressional hearings calling expert witnesses to try and figure out what's going on here.
In your belief, is this flying Tic Tac, I mean, is it capable of being the product of any other nation on the Earth?
No, I think it defies current material science and the ability to develop that much propulsion. And I know there's been some physicists who've done calculations, which is beyond anything that we have.
Years later, he confirmed that the UFO videos from that encounter are real. But if the footage is genuine, what exactly were those objects in California's skies?
This object remained for about 45 seconds or so before darting off over the mountains. We were seeing objects with our radars, with our cameras, and even with our eyes, flying on an almost daily basis.
We're very sensitive to how things turn and how things accelerate and how things move. And this didn't follow any of those laws of physics.
David Fravor confirms. Retired U.S. Navy Commander David Fravor has confirmed that the widely circulated UFO videos linked to a 2004 military encounter off the coast of California are authentic, and the world can't believe this. He has revealed that these are actual recordings of a real event observed by Navy pilots. When the incident occurred, he was the commanding officer of a fighter squadron during a training mission with the USS Nimitz carrier strike group. For many years, this footage has remained classified and top secret, hidden by the government, which still can't explain it. But once the footage was leaked, the government had no choice but to admit it. And Fravor is revealing that he was there. What he saw was a physical object and not a visual illusion. The encounter lasted a few minutes and was seen by multiple trained aviators as well as tracked by radar systems. This is one of the most discussed UFO cases involving the U.S. military. But that's not all, as something terribly strange seems to be happening in Texas. Mysterious object in Texas. A strange aerial sighting over Houston, Texas, has added to the long list of UFOs found in the American skies. A witness called Mariam Bozo recorded a mysterious object hovering high above the city. The object was completely motionless for about 15 minutes. Unlike normal aircraft or drones, it displayed no lights, produced no sound, and seemed to blend almost perfectly with the surrounding clouds, making it hard to distinguish it at the first glance. The sighting immediately attracted widespread attention online after the footage was shared. Other people soon came forward claiming they had seen the same object in the sky over Houston. One person even said that they saw the stationary object while flying into the city, describing something unusual outside the aircraft window. The witness said that the object moved too fast to capture on video, but the appearance looked similar to the one in Mariam's recording. Scientists tried to debunk this as a real UFO or extraterrestrial object, even giving different explanations. Some said that the object might have been a group of birds or another type of wildlife moving in formation. But the theory immediately lost support because the object didn't have any visible motion, wing, movement, or changes in shape. For about 15 minutes, it remained fixed in place, a behavior that didn't match any known bird activity. That meant it was definitely something stranger, and might even be out of this world. The Houston sighting reminds experts of different aerial reports across the United States. Researchers have recorded thousands of sightings of large triangular or wedge-shaped craft, which are also silent and capable of hovering for a long time. Investigators have started calling these black triangle sightings, and they usually happen near populated areas or major highways. Sometimes, the object moves slowly and silently above those on the ground. It's almost like it's following and observing, and that has raised a lot of questions about where these UFOs come from and what their purpose is. Witness descriptions over the years show shocking similarities. People usually report massive dark objects gliding silently across the sky, sometimes at low altitude and sometimes appearing to hover before suddenly accelerating away. There are some well-known incidents, like the 1997 Phoenix Lights event in Arizona, where thousands of residents saw a huge V or triangular-shaped formation moving slowly and silently ahead. As many watch this video, some experts say it might just be misidentified, but others are asking what was really hovering above Houston that day. Although there's not enough proof for this case, a former military pilot is making the case for UFOs and proving to the world that there's more going on. But before he could say a thing, someone decided to leak videos of what truly happened. David Fravor witnesses UAP. In November 2004, a routine U.S. Navy training mission off the coast of Southern California turned into one of the most shocking and widely discussed UFO encounters in modern military history. Retired Navy Commander David Fravor, who was then the commanding officer of Strike Fighter Squadron 41 aboard the aircraft carrier USS Nimitz, was leading a training exercise when his flight was suddenly redirected to investigate an unknown radar contact which was detected by the guided missile cruiser USS Princeton. For about 2 weeks before the incident, radar operators on the Princeton had been tracking aerial objects appearing at altitudes above 80,000 feet before it quickly descended to around 20,000 feet, hovering and then speeding away. The flight characteristics confused many radar technicians because the object was moving faster and more abruptly than any known aircraft. On November 14th, Fravor and another FA-18F Super Hornet crew were directed roughly 100 miles southwest of San Diego to investigate one of these targets. When they got to the location, the pilots first noticed that there was something unusual in the ocean below. Despite the calm seas and clear skies, a patch of water was churning as if something large was beneath the surface. Even stranger, there was a smooth white object about 40 feet long hovering above that distance. It looked like a Tic Tac mint. It was oval, glossy, and completely featureless. It had no wings, rotors, or visible propulsion system, and there was no exhaust plume or heat signature, so he knew that it was a conventional engine. The object's movements were even more shocking. Fravor said that it was moving erratically above the water, darting side to side like a ping-pong ball. When the pilot tried to descend and intercept it, the object seemed to react. It mirrored the aircraft's movements and then climbed to meet the jet. As Fravor got closer to the object within about half a mile, it was like the object had perceived his presence because it picked up at an extraordinary speed and vanished. Moments later, the radar operators said that the objects had reappeared about 60 miles away from where the pilots were meant to patrol. But to go from where it was before to the current location was literally impossible using the known aircraft technology. Fravor didn't take a video of the encounter, and he found it difficult to explain to his superiors. But he didn't expect that another Navy jet would take footage of the object, and that eventually became known as the Tic Tac video after it was declassified by the government years later. Tic Tac video and investigation. The now famous Tic Tac video is one of the most widely analyzed UFO recordings in history, and it came from a U.S. Navy encounter that David Fravor could never forget. Radar operators aboard the missile cruiser USS Princeton had been tracking unusual aerial objects for days before the encounter, detecting targets descending from altitudes above 80,000 feet to around 20,000 feet in seconds. After Fravor and another pilot faced the strange white object, remember it sped away at amazing speed and disappeared. Shortly after, another Navy fighter jet launched from the Nimitz to search for the target. That aircraft was flown by Lieutenant Commander Chad Underwood and was equipped with an advanced forward-looking infrared (FLIR) targeting system. Underwood managed to lock the object with the sensor and record roughly 90 seconds of infrared footage. That's what later became known as FLIR-1. The footage showed a small, elongated object moving across the targeting display while the pilot tried to maintain a lock. Witnesses noticed that the object was rotating and then sped away out of frame. Analysts examined the video and noticed that it showed no visible wings, rotors, or exhaust plume. All of these are features we find in conventional propulsion systems. Although the recording existed, the U.S. government kept it a secret for a long time and it remained classified. Everything changed in 2017 when the video was leaked. It was later confirmed as authentic by the U.S. Department of Defense. When the video was released, it triggered widespread attention to UFOs. At the time, several Navy personnel involved in the incident said additional radar data and recordings existed but had never been publicly released. Some witnesses claimed unidentified officials collected or confiscated certain data shortly after the event. Fravor continues to say that the infrared video only represents a small portion of the evidence. The encounter involved a lot of sensor systems, including radar tracking from ships and aircraft, and visual confirmation from trained pilots. All of these were enough to prove that there was really something out there, that they all experienced face-to-face. What's more, he watched the object and is sure that it demonstrated performance characteristics that are far ahead of the aerospace technology we have today. That includes instant acceleration, extreme maneuverability, and hovering without visible propulsion. Even more striking to Fravor was the object's apparent awareness of the fighter jets. During the encounter, he said the craft seemed to mirror his movements before suddenly accelerating away at speeds he believes no known aircraft could achieve. 2014 to 2015 incidents. In the 2014 to 2015 period, a series of UFOs involving the U.S. Navy's USS Theodore Roosevelt Carrier Strike Group drew massive attention from both military personnel and the public. They became one of the most persistent waves of UFOs in modern history, especially since they were seen by the military. Between late 2014 and early 2015, fighter pilots and radar operators based on the Roosevelt routinely detected unknown objects in restricted airspace over the Atlantic Ocean off the U.S. East Coast. Military aviators said that these objects appeared during training missions, sometimes being tracked on advanced radar systems for days, or even months. Pilots, like the then Lieutenant Ryan Graves, said that the phenomena happened with such frequency that they became a part of everyday flight operations. These objects were logged both visually and on sensor systems, showing behavior that went far beyond normal aircraft capabilities. According to Graves, the objects had no visible means of propulsion, exhaust plumes, wings, or tails, yet they could reach high altitudes, hypersonic velocities, and maintain stable flight for extended durations. Sometimes they could be observed for hours at a time. One of the most surprising parts of these Roosevelt encounters were the description of objects and their unusual shapes. Some Navy pilots saw a cube inside a transparent sphere, and there was an incident where the object even passed directly between two jets, flying in close formation. It was so close that the pilot had to file a formal safety report with the Navy. In January 2015, two specific infrared videos captured by Roosevelt, air crews were later known as Gimbal and Go Fast, and it offered some of the most compelling visual records of these phenomena. Both clips had been officially released by the U.S. Department of Defense, along with the Tic Tac video, and it shows objects moving against prevailing winds or skimming over the ocean without any visible engines or propulsion systems. In the video, you can hear the pilot showing surprise as they tracked them on their targeting sensors. All these UFO sightings shifted the conversation about UAPs from hoaxes and disbelief to serious consideration within military and scientific circles. Trained Navy aviators also saw a lot of these UFOs around that time, and it showed just how these sightings are recorded and investigated. These Roosevelt incidents remain among the most significant and perplexing military UAP sightings, but the Pentagon has revealed even more videos and evidence about the existence of these objects that might just be extraterrestrial. Additional UAP. When looking at all the UAP reports from naval encounters in the mid-2010s, there were two videos recorded by U.S. Navy fighter jets and have become important in investigating where UFOs come from. One of the videos seems to show an object that is rotating in a frame, and there's no real aircraft that actually does that. At first glance, this motion looks unusual, and it seems to be evidence of strange maneuvering. But skeptics have pointed to the technical aspects of the advanced targeting forward-looking infrared camera equipment used to capture the video. These pods include a derotation mechanism designed to stabilize the image by keeping the horizon level, even as the aircraft and camera move. Some say that the rotation might actually be a lens artifact or camera motion effect instead of the motion of the object itself. Simple experiments with stabilized video and a light source can produce similar rotating flare patterns, suggesting that what is seen may be an artifact of the imaging system, not a physical rotation of the UAP. Technically, this explanation seems possible, but the audio in the video makes it even more complex. From what pilots were saying in most of those videos, it was clear that they were facing something they had never seen before and didn't even know existed. Ex-pilots like Graves and others have been interviewed by the government many times and stated in interviews that these objects exhibited behaviors that weren't expected from normal aerial phenomena. A second video from this set shows an object that appears colder than the surrounding environment, as indicated by the thermal imaging. Observers have argued that the object's apparent high speed may simply be a parallax effect, where the motion of the aircraft makes a slower object appear fast on camera. Analysis of altitude and positioning data suggests that what is seen could be consistent with something as mundane as a balloon or drifting debris blown across the field of view while the jet travels at high speed. The reason why the military is struggling to interpret these videos can be seen in the difference between what we can see in the infrared video and the kind of data they actually have. Without confirmation from the pilots themselves or access to original sensor logs and data, it's hard to identify it directly. As a result, these additional UAP videos remain compelling yet inconclusive pieces of evidence in the broader investigation into unidentified aerial phenomena. In 2007, the U.S. Department of Defense quietly launched the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or AATIP, a Pentagon initiative funded with about $22 million to explore reports of UFOs and other unexplained aerospace encounters. But the public found out about the program in December 2017, when the New York Times revealed its existence and connected it to previously leaked Navy videos, which show objects that defied conventional explanations. According to Pentagon records, ATP was created at the urging of lawmakers, including then-Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, and operated until around 2012, working to collect reports from military personnel and analyze unexplained aerial events. It produced numerous internal studies on topics ranging from advanced propulsion and tracking techniques to theoretical aerospace technologies, though much of its work remains classified and unreleased. One of the most consequential aspects of AATIP was its role in preserving and reviewing Navy sensor data from encounters like the 2004 USS Nimitz and the 2014 to 2015 Roosevelt incidents. Pilots and radar operators who reported these encounters described objects performing sudden accelerations, abrupt changes in direction, and sustained maneuvers without visible propulsion. Many of these interactions were documented by multiple sensors, including radar, infrared, ATFL-IR, and visual observation, leading Pentagon officials to conclude that a majority of UAP sightings likely represent real physical objects rather than mere sensor errors or misidentifications. Former Pentagon official Luis Elizondo, who has publicly described his involvement with AATIP and later UAP efforts, has asserted that the phenomena studied by the program are neither secret U.S. technology nor easily explained terrestrial systems. Elizondo maintained that some encounters remained compelling and unexplained even after rigorous review, a position echoed in interviews where he emphasized the need for transparent investigation. However, Elizondo's claims about the program's scope and his role in it have been disputed by some Pentagon spokespeople who stated that AATIP's responsibilities did not formally include UFO investigation and that his specific leadership position was not officially assigned. David Fravor has now revealed that the UFO videos we saw online are actually real, and the Pentagon had been keeping them from us for years. How much more are they hiding? Let's know your thoughts in the comments. Remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next video showing on your screen. You will enjoy it.